Welcome! This is a teardown video for the V19 smartwatch. This is a high sophisticated smartwatch which has green and red diodes for measuring heart rate and pulse and oxygen in blood. So you can do a lot with this smartwatch, but this one is broken. It's not the sensor is not working anymore, so I decided to make a tear down and look what's inside, and so maybe we can use the hardware for other projects, or maybe repair the sensor at least. So let's have a look what's inside. First I will fix the watch. And it seems that those watches, they are glued together, so that you cannot open it without destroying the housing. So I decided to use this here. And I will cut the housing from the sides to open it, so that we can see what's inside this V19. That's a little bit of a secret the manufacturers are keeping with those smartwatches. I think it would be more beneficial if they would make it for, if they would publish the schematics and what's inside those devices, so that the community maybe can improve firmware and work with the device a little better. So you have to be very careful, not cut too deep, or the hardware is gone. I saw other teardown videos where the guy quickly destroyed all the hardware. I want to see it working again after unboxing it. But this device is very good for cutting, fine cutting those plastic housings. But maybe you should wear glasses, at least to protect your eyes from pieces flowing around while cutting. Nearly deep enough. It takes you some time. This is the other side. If you cut deep enough, you see some metal. Then you should stop. Not to destroy the hardware. Still working, so no problem. Maybe I can see the problem with the sensor PCB, why it's not working. And a slight hope, after cleaning the PCB, I maybe get it back to working mode again. But at least I can use the watch as a watch itself, without having the heart rate and this oxygen measurement, and also the ECG. The watch can take really good ECGs if you have a good connection to your skin. The ECGs look really clear. So maybe I can get information about what sensor is in the watch. The data sheet says that the sensor front end is an HX3313 sensor. I found a company with a data sheet. Maybe I can see if this matches. So now it starts to open up. Then you should be extremely careful because there's a lot of glue and you should not put stress on the display. If the display comes in two halves, you never get it back to working again. But finally, I'm successful. I removed the cover. Now you see the display with 3 screws. So maybe we can open up those screws. First remove some remaining glue. This metal is a little loose. Later I fixed it with some solder, resoldered it. Now we need screwdrivers. And then let's open up the screws. At least a good sign that it is screwed. So it's some kind of quality, that it's not loose in this housing. Even if it's Chinese and only costs you, I paid around $24. I think it's on offer about 22 to 28. So with a good offer you can have it for 22 maybe. And it's really worth the money. But yeah, if it breaks really quickly, like mine did, that was maybe a problem of those first watches, that they are not sealed enough. But I have another one which is still doing good. So it's not by default that all those break. After, I had this for 9 months and then it started with problems. It's have to be extremely careful because there's a lot of glue, and carefully remove those glue and loosen the parts to not destroy any parts with too much force. So this takes a few seconds more. But now I'm coming closer. You can see the battery under the display and main PCB. This one has fallen out. Put too much stress on it while opening the front, but it's not a big problem. Can resolder it and it's still working. The problem is that it is not only screwed but also with glue. The PCB is glued with the battery pack, and the battery pack is glued on the sensor PCB, which is the bottom PCB. So there are two PCBs and a flexible connection in between them. But now we are nearly done with the opening. And then I can talk a little bit about the hardware I can see. So now we have the battery. I can remove the battery. That makes it easier. And so you see the connection between those two PCBs and the sensor PCB, which lies on the bottom in the housing. Next would be to remove this. There are no screws, so it's glued. There are some plastic pins which are glued with the PCB. Now it's loosening, so it cannot take too long to get it out. Oops, some pieces falling around. Hopefully glue. Put some soft force. The tweezers, it's always good to use those. Now, here we have it. So this is the inside of the V19 smartwatch or smart band. From a distance you see the sensor has some dirt on it, some let's say salt crust, which make shorts, and then it's not working. So, but if it's working again, if we clean it, maybe, but only a slight chance getting this back to work, I think, with that heavy crusts on it. Yes, so my idea is to put some magnifying glasses over the camera and then make a closer look to the hardware. So here you can see the vibration motor. On the right you have the contacts for the vibration motor, and this with the yellow dot, this part, this is the main Nordic chip. With a little light you can see the markings clearer. It's a Nordic chip N52832, and there is some SPI flash I can see. I can see a G sensor and some RAM chip also, and crystals, oscillators too. I assume one is for the clock, for the real-time clock, and the other is 32 megahertz for working frequency. And then you have this 10-pin connection to the sensor board. So this is the main PCB with the component side, and you have these to the right. You have these plus and minus for charging. This is the other side of the board. It's called E06 main board, and then you have the flexible connection with the display, which is SPI connected, but unfortunately I cannot see the chip which operates inside the display, so some problems to solve for an Arduino project. Now here you see the display working. That's a really bright, clear display, so don't complain about that. So this is the sensor board, which you see the damages. I cleaned it a little, and then the coating started to disappear, so you can see the copper traces. It's basically, it looks intact. Maybe I can find the problem, but I suspect that also some vias, the connection between the two sides of the sensor board, there may be some vias which are not working anymore, so there may be problems which I cannot solve without deeper knowledge of the type. Because what I see here is it's a 28-pin chip, optical chip, and 4 diodes. And the interesting thing is that there are green and red diodes, 2 red, 1 green, and 1 infrared diode. The top one is the infrared diode. I can see this with the voltage over those diodes. They're all working, the diodes. So greener diodes, they have 2.5 volts, and the red ones, they have 1.8, 1.7, and the infrared, there's only 1.2. So this is my teardown video. I hope you can leave a comment if you know this sensor chip. Would be really interested.